Hey everyone, this is No Filter, a Nintendo podcast, and here's my review for Fall of Light Darkest Edition for Nintendo Switch. Fall of Light comes to us from Digerati Entertainment and is a Dark Souls-like dungeon crawling game. And when I say Dark Souls, I mean Dark Souls. This is 100% based on the Dark Souls formula, which is definitely a positive in my book, but now in a form of a dungeon crawler, like a game like Diablo is. And I think for the most part it does pretty well, but there are some hiccups along the way. So the other inspiration for the game is actually Eco. So thinking a Dark Souls game mixed with Eco together is actually really interesting, and while a little bit annoying with the escort mission a little bit at times, I think having that aspect kind of enforces the slow kind of progression that you normally inherently have in a Dark Souls game, and I think it actually works pretty well in this game. And not just that, you're playing like this big knight, and you have a daughter that's a Nyx, basically a spirit form that could save the world from the dark, dreary aftermath of a war that you're in right now. And so she's bright up with light, and basically you can hold a certain button to walk her through holding hands, or you can kind of sit her in a certain spot, just similar to most escort type games like that. And I think it actually works really well with the Dark Souls formula. Having her around you is actually a big benefit, because when she's around you, it actually increases your attack, increases your health capability and stuff like that. So it's really kind of nice having a benefit to keep her around near you, but you also have to avoid her dying, because the enemies could kill her, and then you're not going to be getting any of those benefits, and you're going to have to revive her later. The game itself, the Dark Souls combat is all here with kind of the slower attacking, and you have to be more deliberate with your attacks. It's stamina based, so every attack you do, you're going to be losing stamina consistently. There's not a crazy amount variety of weapons you have, but there are the few that you can kind of combine together. You have two different loadouts that you can have. One could be like, say, a longsword that takes two hands. One could be an axe in one hand and a shield in the other. There's not too much upgrading or equipment that you can really do. Upgrading is really only increasing the amount of vials you have, which is basically like the health vials you'd see in Dark Souls, or increasing your stamina meter, which is really good to have. It's nice to increase, but I would really like if there was some more upgrading in the actual equipment, because right now it really was just you have whatever sword, whatever weapon you have, and there's really not much as far as armor or anything to increase that. It would have been a nice touch to add into the game. The actual game is, yes, very Dark Souls again, because it's very, very tough. You do get through, and it has the same sort of statues as checkpoints that are basically like, whenever you die, you're going to be going back to that checkpoint. Whenever you die, though, you then have to go back to where your daughter has died, and you have to find her and revive her there. If you don't, you will lose all of your money that you made up to that point, basically. It's a very interesting kind of a mechanic that they kind of add in here to the Dark Souls, whereas this time it's not like you're going to your own body where you died, it's going to where your daughter is left, which is pretty cool. There are some pretty interesting bosses, and a lot of the enemies, while there are quite a few similar enemies in some ways, there are some variety in there. There's going to be the archers, there's going to be the regular sword wielding people, there's going to be like trolls, there's going to be ogres, there's going to be like wolves and stuff like that. There's a lot to here, and it definitely drives the kind of dark, dreary nature of all these people as well, with the world around it. You're going through some churches, you're going through dark alleys, you're going through dark, older, enchanted forests, you're going through graveyards, you're going through catacombs. It's got all that same kind of style again. But yeah, overall, I definitely enjoyed the game. However, the combat itself was definitely, I think, a little bit too slow for my taste, and a little bit too clunky. You definitely get used to it and you get around it, but I can totally see why it seems like the game is getting some pretty mixed reviews by people. If you stick it through for the first couple hours, you get used to the controls, you get used to how you play the game, and you will enjoy it. Similar to Dark Souls. However, for the people that don't have that kind of patience, they will likely kind of shut it off of their mind after the first little bit, then realize, hey, this game isn't for me, I'm gonna not give it a good review. So I think that's kind of how I've seen a lot of the reception for this game. I'm getting this review out a little bit later, but overall for me, again, I think it was definitely a worthwhile play. if you are a Dark Souls fan, I think this is definitely a game you should give a go. If you're not a Dark Souls fan, stay away. Stay far away, because you will not enjoy this game. It is 100% based off of Dark Souls and has that eco kind of element too, which is kind of nice. The whole father-daughter sort of dynamic, which is actually pretty interesting. So yeah, that's my review for Fall of Light Darkest Edition for Nintendo Switch. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.